pero si no les damos buena educación, no vamos a tener un buen futuro, ¿no? Tanto como a los nenes como a los ancianos hay que respetarlos. Tú respetas a ellos, te estás respetando a ti mismo, man.
Here's Teco surfing his home break right in front of his mom's restaurant. As you can see, Teco shreds on a longboard as well as a shortboard, something to say for someone who learned to surf on a wood plank. Oops. This is Teco's son Wilfredo, who was about 7 and just getting started surfing. He was still a bit small to go for it alone, so Teco would take him out and push him into the waves. This is Will's very first successfully ridden wave on a surfboard. Here Teco grabs the wave of the day, 3-footer, 2-bride. Stoked. We cross the border into Honduras high up in the mountains, where the climate is cooler and the jungle is dense. Headed for the village of Copan, we set out to see the ruins of what used to be the center of Mayan culture and prosperity, but now is one of the poorest regions in Central America.
Like others, we came to see the ruins, but couldn't help but notice the overwhelming poverty, which is evident everywhere you look.
By total chance, we met a woman who came to Copan as a tourist, but stayed on as an aid worker, dedicating her life to the need she saw to help the local children, who are the future of Honduras.
My name is Karen Steen. I'm 34 years old. I'm living here in Copan Ruinas, Honduras. It's very famous for its Maya ruins. Hundreds of thousands of tourists come by a year. But at the same time, this is one of the poorest departments in the whole country. And you only have to walk for about a mile to see the indigenous Maya Churchi living in circumstances that are really, really poor. About 4 children of each 100 die still here before they are a year old. Unfortunately, most tourists don't see that, but it makes it really interesting, the combination of the sacred place that it used to be for the Mayas, the tourist place that it is now, the Maya culture that's still alive. That really makes it something very special, yeah. Here in Copan Ruinas, I started about 5 years ago a foundation called Copan Pinta. We started with art classes first for the kids in town. Right now I'm organizing for the 3rd year in a row a children's congress. The goal of it is to stimulate children to take their own decisions and to show them that they actually can make a little difference in the world. And that they don't necessarily have to listen to the adults that shrug their shoulders and just say, yo no fui, like they say here, you know, I don't care, it wasn't me. What we did for the Children's Congress, I wrote a manual with 10 workshops, and one of the assignments in the manual is to pick a tree that you like for whatever reason, give it a name, and write a story about that tree. As soon as you give a name to a tree, it becomes yours, and something that's yours, you won't destroy. And especially if you take the effort actually to make a drawing of the tree and to write a story about it, then it becomes part of your own environment that naturally you tend to protect. I think life itself is my biggest passion, and it's what I like so much about living here. Somehow everything is so much more intense. The colors, the smells. In Holland, death is like very far away. Here it's right on your doorstep. What I truly, truly love is teaching the children. I really find it a challenge to teach something, some issues in a way that the children really, really get it. Children are actually very happy and eager to learn as long as it's just not boring or unnecessary. And I see the development of my students becoming stable young people, people that can think for themselves and are more compassionate about what they're doing. That's a very positive thing, to be able to make a difference.
Driving to Nicaragua Christmas Eve, I was thinking about home when suddenly a car flew by. 5 minutes down the road, we passed the same car, which had just gone head-on into oncoming traffic.
We're in Nicaragua. Merry Christmas. We made it.
Nicaragua has changed over the last 3 years since our previous trip. Land is being bought and sold and developed at a high rate. And for the most part, the locals, aside from being used as cheap labor, are being left in the dust. A mere 12 years out of a civil war that was started over land rights, Nicaraguan land is once again being hoarded, but this time by foreigners.
On Christmas night, we went to find an old friend in Masachapa, and the whole town was going nuts. He didn't even flinch when he opened his door, as if it was yesterday that I'd seen him last. He took us in, gave us a place to stay and food to eat. Here, Luis, El Pájaro Loco, talks about life in Nicaragua.
Mi nombre es Luis Espinosa Mayorga. En Mazachapa la vida es un poco tranquila, no hay demasiada violencia como en otros lados como Managua o las ciudades, las un poquito grandes ciudades de Nicaragua. La economía está basada en lo que es la pesca. Digamos que si la pesca está bueno toda la economía en Mazachapa. Una de mis metas que yo tengo ahora es tratar de que mi hija que trate de ir hasta la universidad y ella sea una profesional para que ella no tenga tantas necesidades como yo la tuve, pues. Hay niños que están trabajando para poder comer. En esos niños que andan trabajando en las calles, limpiando los vidrios de los carros y todo, puede haber un niño que puede ser el presidente de Nicaragua, pues yo creo que ellos tienen que tener un chance en la vida. Y algo que se está dando en todos los países, pues, pobres, es que están llegando mucha gente que tienen dinero a tratar de comprar todas las playas y después ellos venden como hacen un negocio de bienes raíces y comienzan a vender lotes y lotes y también eso me da mucha tristeza. En Nicaragua ahora uno no puede decir de que va a trabajar y a ahorrar para ir a determinado país. Yo no puedo estar ahorrando dinero y que mi familia esté aguantando hambre, aunque uno tiene los deseos y uno quisiera muchísimo ir a conocer, pero uno no puede. Creo que no me gustaría quedarme en otro país porque amo a mi país, amo a Nicaragua y amo a todo Centroamérica.
We got into Costa Rica. We made it. We're here.
Although literally impossible, Scott wanted to bypass Costa Rica entirely, and I wasn't opposed to the idea.
Costa Rica was the ending point to our journey in 1999 and the place where Zach and I parted ways. I had stayed there for a year, and after having problems with a corrupt customs agent, ended up having to sneak my car out of the country.
Costa Rica is beautiful and rich in culture, but unfortunately, I feel an animosity from the Ticos, and I can't blame them. Like Nicaragua, their country has been bought up and invaded by Gringos.
For us, it felt like everyone was on the take, tourists and Ticos alike. Sure enough, on our third day back in the country, we woke up and something felt wrong. We'd been robbed.
We're in Costa Rica. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm calling it more Costa ripoff. The waves were tiny and packed with tourists learning how to surf. I got 2 surfboards stolen. Scott and I were at each other's throats. I was over it. Adios, Costa Rica. Bienvenidos a Panamá.
Central America was coming to an end. We crossed our 6th border in just a couple of weeks. For us, Panama was unexplored territory and also the launching point to South America, where we intended to get, hopefully with our vehicle.